don't know what else to say about it other than what is going on in this Ducks locker room that is continually causing problems up and down the lineup. Do you have any quick feedback here before we jump into the first period?
I mean, what kind of feedback can you give after an 8-1 loss in Game 3 in what was considered a must-win? I mean, there isn't much to say. I mean, I definitely did not expect this from this game. I don't think anybody did. You knew it was going to be difficult. I mean, the Ducks started pretty well up until, I think those 2 quick goals in the second period just killed them because the momentum was there, the energy was there. They're actually outplaying San Jose in the first period. They were outplaying them early in the second, out shooting them. And then those 2 quick goals out of nowhere, and they just lost all momentum, all confidence, and it just snowballed to what was an eventual 8-1 win for the Sharks. I mean, I remember laughing at the Flyers for losing, 7-0, 7-1 in the first game against Pittsburgh, and this is now the worst loss of the Stanley Cup playoffs so far, and it showed. I mean, it was just awful. Nobody showed up after those 2 goals, and I can understand the frustration from a lot of fans.
If you're a fan and you're tuning in and you decide to read Ducks Nation, I recommend that you unfriend yourself from that group because that's not where you're going to get great opinions from. If this is a goaltending issue, you are far from the truth. John Gibson has had nothing to do with these losses here. Yes, he was replaced by Ryan Miller, but when you're a Ducks team and you're allowing 2-on-1s or consecutive chances from the high slot, converting on a power play or 2 or 3, there's issues beyond goaltending here. I have a hard time understanding where anything falls here in the crease. We're definitely going to hop into this in the first period, but let's get to the pregame because it's going to be quick. It's John Gibson versus Martin Jones, as you would expect. And then looking at the scratches here, Kevin Bieksa, surprised he's a scratch, honestly. Cam Fowler, Corbinian Holzer, Captain Canada, who's Eddie's favorite player in the NHL, Antoine Vermette, and then everybody is free Troy Terry, and everyone wants to see him, but he would not be seen tonight as he is also a scratch. Jason Chimera would draw in tonight because he's extremely fast and provides a lot of speed on that fourth line that barely plays, as Randy Carlyle sees fit. Eddie, can we please roll the intro so we can get into this breakdown?
Again by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner. Getzlaf center. Perry scores. Corey Perry.
Ilya able to shake away from Solani. It's given away to Solani. Around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal. Perry and the fans want one. Score! Off the floor. On the board. Paul Kariya.
I mean, where do we start? And with this recap here, I don't even know. I have no words for this game. I mean, I think we should definitely keep this recap pretty brief. I don't think the nice people we have in this chat want to hear us talk about an 8-1 loss too long. I mean, we're going to get through it, but I think they've been through enough torture tonight that going in depth through a 3-period breakdown of this game is just too much punishment.
That's fine. We can make it really quick. So, I mean, barring any disruption from you, Eddie, I think the best way to go about it is this was an 8-1 loss, and it was very lopsided on the scoring chance side of things. When you look at this score sheet for Anaheim, you're going to see that they had their chances and just were not able to bury them. They lose 8-1. Rickard Rakell was the trigger man on the power play. Let's talk about that for 1 second here. I don't want to go period by period if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I think going by period here, it's going to be Sharks goal, goal, Sharks goal, Sharks. The second period is going to be a broken record, and I don't think anybody wants to talk about that. Mm-hmm. I feel like the Rickard Rakell thing was a positive because he was the trigger man on the power play, which we would have thought Montour would have been. Yeah. And Rakell's able to make money there and put it bar down. So that's the positive side of this, no?
Yeah, I think so. Because that's what we've been looking for on the power play is that trigger guy. And what we've talked about before, you and me, if it should be Montour or Rakell, and you finally see Raquel get that chance, and he fires it home, and that's what we've been looking for all season. And of course, we get it in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then the Ducks get hammered after that. So you really kind of forget about it. But it's hard to draw momentum from that, because what's that going to do at this point, right? I mean, it's a little bit late in Game 3, and we're in a game that event now really doesn't matter because they're down 3-0. And yeah, you could throw that into a Game 4 and hope that it'll work again, but it's so late down the road now, and why haven't they done this before? I have no idea. It sounded like such a simple option, just having a guy who could shoot the puck in the Ducks power play, because they really just haven't had that guy. It's been too much passing. It's been overpassing at times. It's something we've seen from the power play ever since Paul McLean left, and even then that was a pass-heavy power play, but it just worked because they had guys who went to the net. I mean, Patrick Maroon was a big part of that as well. Corey Perry, when he was playing a lot better than he is now, that was the bread and butter for their power play back in the day, and now it's more you need a guy who can shoot the puck. And Rickard Rakell is a Ducks leading goal scorer, so it's no surprise he was tasked to do that in this game. It just, for me, it's too little too late.
No, it's true. And if you look down the score sheet and you see these goals, obviously the 4-goal second period by the Sharks is the one that jumps out at you in an 8-1 victory, which seems strange that half of the goals came in the second period. But looking at these goals, it's just really telling of how this series has gone, and they're just making the better of their opportunities count. Lindholm gets beat in the corner in the first period on an entry. Getzlaf in the lazy slot coverage. Couture makes it 1-0. Raquel ties it up with the bomb in the second, right?
Yeah.
Second period, Montour blows a tire. Turns into a 2-on-1. Makes it 2-1 Sharks. Third goal, Lindholm pinches up the ice. Sharks counterattack on a 2-on-1. Sorensen finishes 3-1 Sharks. Sharks goal again. And this one was just a strange one. Eric Fair, of all people, outworks down low. Puts it through Cogs, and Gibby makes it 4-1. And then Hertl cashes in on the power play, making it 5-1 at the end of the second period. You can chalk up the third period or whatever you want it's going to be. It was not going to be the effort you expected to see from Anaheim. They were frustrated. They were down on their luck. 5-1 in the third period of a third-game playoff series is just not the place you're going to see a team rise up and score 4 goals and tie it up. I mean, do you see this as the Ducks being overly outplayed or just creating chances and cashing in on them? Because I feel like that's the direction where the Sharks were going, is the Ducks were unable to create those chances and the Sharks were, and that's kind of how she wrote this game.
It's both plus more, I feel like, because the Ducks started off strong and they actually had came to play. And like I already said in the pregame and before we had started the breakdown a bit, was those 2 quick goals by San Jose killed them, and the Ducks just had no answer. They really, it just drained all the energy out of their game. And you're down 3-1, but there's, at least at that point, there's still a chance to get back in the game. And they really had nothing going after that. I mean, it was all Sharks from then on. They're out, and because the Ducks just had no fight, they just felt like it was over. They were playing so well, and they're like, well, how come we're playing so well and we're down 3-1? And that was it. And you need to see some more fight from this team. And a lot of it is that the Sharks did outplay them for the rest of that game. But leading up until that point, I felt like the Ducks had a good chance. And it's just, there's so many things that go into it. And sorry, what was the first thing you mentioned? You said it was the Sharks outplaying and the Ducks.
They're just making the better of their chances. I feel like every time the Ducks would attack.
Yeah.
And the Sharks do a hell of a job keeping the Ducks in the perimeter.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the way this series has gone. And then the Sharks are able to counterattack and then create a lot out of their high danger chances. And they were getting them. I mean, a 2-on-1 and a 2-on-1, it's hard to put that on a goaltender. And then how are you going to fault the Ducks? They're putting a fourth man in on defense because they're down 2-0 in the series. They got to make something happen in these games. They got burned by taking chances.
That's been the Sharks' game plan since game one, since puck drop in game one, is they've pushed the Ducks to the outside. They've limited their high quality chances, and any chances the Sharks are able to get, they capitalize on them. And I mean, the Ducks have been handing them chances, especially in this game. I mean, that second goal is tough because Montour blows a tire and it leads to a 2-on-1. But I feel like how many odd man rushes have we seen, barring that stretch in Game 2 where Gibson had stopped pretty much everything. It was late second, early third where he was just on a tear. Really, when have the Sharks missed an odd man rush chance? I mean, they've scored on pretty much all of them. And that's why they won 8-1 in this game. That's why they dominated, really, in all the other games. I don't think there's been a game that at the end of the game, in these 3 games so far in the series, that you said the Ducks should have won that game. Game 2, you could argue a bit, but I still think the Sharks outplayed them in an overall effort. I mean, Game 1, of course, the Sharks are better, and then, of course, in Game 3 here, the Sharks were way better. But the Ducks just have not been the better team in any of these games. They have been for maybe small stretches, like in the first and early second, but they haven't had sustained pressure. So a lot of credit goes to the Sharks because, like we said after Game 2, they came prepared. And they knew their game plan, and they've stuck to it. And that's how you win a series. You stick to your game plan. If it works, you just stick to it. And the Ducks haven't been able to adapt. I mean, they've had 3 games to adjust to what San Jose has done, and they haven't been able to do it. And that's credit to the system that the Sharks have put in place. It's been a perfect counter for what the Ducks have done. I mean, they can't get any chances on Martin Jones, and the ones they do are pretty easy saves for him. And then he has to make the occasional good save because he was good tonight in this game. But the Ducks aren't really challenging him, and that's a lot of credit to the way San Jose has been set up.
And when you outshoot an opponent 46-36, you would think that you controlled the majority of the play and had the better of the chances. It didn't feel like it. It really didn't feel like it. And looking at natural stat trick, I mean, the Ducks gave up 17 high dangerous chances and then 11 chances for. So the Sharks making good on 8 of those chances, you would think. I mean, because most of the Sharks' goals came from within that plate, point to point, circle to circle, and then down to the crease. And it's hard to fault the goaltending. The Sharks, like you said, have had the better of the play throughout these first 3 games. This really was not the game I expected from Anaheim to come out and play an 8-1 loss. You want to put a cap on this game and then talk about what we can do going forward, because I don't think going through this and picking up plays is going to do anything other than aggravate anybody listening.
Yeah, there is nothing you can pick out. I mean, you want to put a cap on it. It's a pathetic 8-1 loss by the Ducks, and now they go into Game 4 in the Shark Tank, and I don't think there was some positive thoughts after Game 2. There was some hope that the way they played in Game 2, they would be able to carry some things over, fix some things, and come out in a must-win game and play better. There's none of that going into Game 4. I mean, 4 teams in NHL history have come back from down 3-0. Toronto over Detroit in 1942. The Islanders over the Penguins in 1975. The Flyers over the Bruins in 2010. And then the Kings over the Sharks in 2014. That's it. I mean, I don't know the percentage, but that's very low. The Ducks have almost no chance of coming back, and I don't want to sound like a downer or whatnot, but I feel like most of you believe it, especially. I mean, if this was a close game, I'd say maybe, because you look at Game 2, it was close. If this one was close, you say, okay, they've at least played somewhat well, and they've kept it close. But how do you go into a Game 4 after losing 8-1 where they just looked like they gave up? Visibly looked like they gave up, especially the top players. You had Getzlaf, looked like he gave up, ended up getting a game misconduct for chirping at the refs. Kessler and Perry taking bad penalty after bad penalty in the third period. The Ducks had no fight. They were done. It almost felt like it was Game 4 and they were about to go home. And I don't see that changing in Game 4, unfortunately. I mean, we'll still be here for an inevitable post-game show no matter what happens. But to put a cap on it, I don't see any hope going into Game 4.
So an 8-1 loss, you look at this series just as an outright by numbers, you're talking 3-0, 3-2, 8-1. That is not really good numbers there for the Ducks. Unable to score. This team has shown that they can score. And being down 3-0 in a series, outshooting the Sharks, if you just looked at this by the numbers, you would feel like the Ducks are just not getting the puck luck. But if you look a little deeper and you watch where they're getting their chances from, so you're combining the eye test with the analytics, you would see the Ducks just aren't able to break through the Sharks.
Yeah.
And the broadcast even showed that the Sharks